Right. How do you modify training volume and intensity when athletes first arrive in altitude?
Yeah, so the first few days are a little bit more difficult than at home, obviously. So you come somewhere like Romeu. It depends if the athlete has been to altitude before or been somewhere like here before, then they know to understand. Or if they've been born at altitude, they'll be more adapted, of course. But most people who will be watching this video back at home will probably not have been to altitude or have been to Font Romeu. So the first few days, you need to kind of back the intensity down a little bit. I think you're asked about volume or intensity. Um, so kind of the volume can stay the same because you've got more time to train. I mean, you've got to factor in your travel. So traveling to somewhere like here was a full day. So it's getting an early plane, and then it's driving quite a while from Barcelona. So that adds up to kind of fatigue, doesn't it? So we just got out for an easy run on the night. But of course, it's really hilly as well, so it's not just the altitude itself. And most altitude places are in the mountains, so you've got to get used to the hills from a muscular standpoint. The ups and downs is just very different from home. And I thought I was doing a lot of hills before I came here this summer, but even my perspective was probably a little bit out in terms of how much I needed to do just to be conditioned for this environment. But ultimately, don't overcook it in the first few days. In the past, I've been in the bin myself, trying to chase stuff. Depends how fit you are coming as well. So, if you're doing 100 miles a week, you can probably just get into it. And you've got a high training load at home, you can probably just get into it if you've got a good base. If you haven't got a good base, well, this becomes a little bit more like a base phase when you're here. And ideally, come for longer. If you're not fit, come for longer to get more benefit out of it.
What type of session are most different to perform in altitude and which should be protected?
So is that in terms of what sessions are a little bit harder to do at altitude,
Yes.
and which sessions maybe are somewhat easier? Um, so again, factoring in, you have more time, you have less stress, but yeah, you have the heat, you have the altitude, you have the hills. So I would say anything short and sharp, like hill sprints, maybe 200s on the track, maybe up to 300s on the track, at kind of mile pace, quick stuff, strides, are really not affected that much. In some ways, can be a little bit faster. Once you start getting a little bit longer, a little bit more aerobic, yeah, it becomes a lot difficult. So doing something quite high, sustained, for a long time, such as like a tempo run or quite a sustained threshold effort, or a float session where your heart rate doesn't drop so much, or just a long run session. Those are quite difficult. So personally, what I do is, and what I tell others to do, we either train by heart rate a little bit and use that, or we just train by effort. So I do like a stopwatch mode. So I don't know what distance I'm doing, I don't know what pace I'm doing, I don't know what heart rate I'm doing. Uh, I just have time, time of day, and the stopwatch, and I just run based on how my body's feeling in response to this environment. So you got to be very responsive to the environment and to how your body's adapting to it in the different sessions, which is the same principles at home. And I guess this comes on to some other questions about what you take back, but I've been preaching this since day one about effort-based training. But you really excel in somewhere like this if you can do that, and don't get disappointed by your times if they're a little bit off in sessions, when you look back. So like for example on the track, I would say it's almost like 2 seconds a lap difference, for kind of like 5k, 10k pace stuff. So in like kind of your threshold sessions on the road, maybe you could factor in say 10 seconds a mile, probably 8 seconds a mile, 10 seconds a mile, and then add the hills in probably a little bit more. So again, how do you measure that? You can't use effort, or some people here use lactate or use heart rate. So you got to use other measurements other than pace when you come here.
How do you monitor individual responses to altitude?
So I guess that's what I've kind of just been talking about a little bit. But really, I think keep it simple. Like your training readiness on the morning. So like I ask these guys how they feel in the morning before we train. If it's like above a 5, we can probably train. If it's below a 5, we should maybe do something different. And that could be injury, it could be tiredness or fatigue. But yeah, you sleep more here, and your sleep quality's better here, and you got less distraction, you got less stress. So people arrive at the session with a much higher training readiness than back at home. Um, the average training readiness at home in the last couple of months, in the coaching environments I've been in, is being on the floor really. From life stuff really. Is like 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s coming into hard sessions, and we want 7, 8s, 9s and 10s. So that's quite a big difference here compared to there, but that's like lifestyle factors, I think. But also maybe how people are preparing as well. But I think I've went off the question.
Are the benefits of altitude partially coming from the environment and the culture around the training rather than the hypoxia itself?
Yeah, I mean, even if this place wasn't at altitude or any place really, like when we do a training weekend back in the UK, everyone works harder, trains better, eats better, generally sleeps better than the last one, which was boiling. But yeah, like when you're surrounded by hard work, we did a video like this last year, and one of the hardest things is to bring this stuff back to the environments at home. It seems so simple, and the lads say it when they're here, but it seems so simple what needs to be done. But the triggers and the environment and the habits and the rituals at home just trigger people differently to here. But yeah, it's not normal to do. It's not out of place here to do a 100-mile week, or to be running 3 minutes a k around the lake or something like that. It's not just time based, but it's not uncommon to train 3 times a day here. Like going to the gym on a Sunday night is normal, and I know I try and normalise that at home. But yeah, people live better, they sleep better, they eat better. The food produce is a little bit more local, so it's a little bit more natural, a little bit healthier in that way as well. And just generally the whole environment, even the non-runners here have an active lifestyle, and prioritise health as a main aspect of life. Low stress and health,
What does a typical day look like? What does a typical day look like on an altitude training camp?
So, regardless of the level, the ability of the athlete, maybe top athletes who are going to be training or running 13 times a week, 13, 14 times a week in kind of 3 to 5 gym sessions. But yeah, you can kind of scale that across different people. So, let's say an easy day like today is a Monday, so we've just done an easy run in the morning. What I would do is I'm going to go out again for another easy run. Most people here will run twice. I'll do 2 aerobic bouts of exercise. You want to recover in between and do very little really. And I guess I want to do something complementary, so I'm either going to do some yoga tonight or I'm going to do some core tonight. But the goal of a recovery day is to go into the hard day ready to go, just like we do at home. So there's not much goes on an easy day. On a hard day, so tomorrow for example, I'll have a track session in the morning, which is one of the main sessions of the week. Then we'll kind of recover, we'll go somewhere to eat after the morning session, then go and chill out in the afternoon. We pretty much go for a nap every day here, like everyone goes for a nap, and that's maybe 20 to 40 minutes, just to refresh. Might do something different in the afternoon, like go to the zoo, go to Andorra, it's a bit of a bigger trek, play badminton, something like that, something nice to do. Then we'll have the next bout of exercise, which will be an easy run. Some of the guys might do some cross training, and then the third bout of exercise, it will be the gym. So on the hard days we gym, every hard day, so that's Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, that's the routine we do here. Hard days hard, easy days easy, that's the principle. And then after the gym, we'll probably go out, have a drink, something like that. So yeah, quite a busy hard day. And then we'll repeat the same process on Wednesday as the easy day has been on Monday. Some other things we might change about the week is Tuesday is hard, but then we won't do another hard till Friday. I like to leave 2 easy days between sessions up here when you're doing something intense on a Tuesday, just to recover better. It means you can get a little bit of a quality, some quality running in between as well, and you're not kind of in the bin start the next session. Just a slight change we noticed up here, but really I think you could do that at home. I mean, being flexible with your week is very important, and we haven't encountered that yet, but if we feel like we're not ready for a hard session, there's no problem moving it a day, and you should be fluid like that back at home as well. Again, being responsive to the environment and how your body actually feels is the number one way to go.
Like you spoke about sleep there. How important is sleep? Like between
Yeah.
like even just normal runs and easy days and hard days. How important is sleep within an altitude camp?
Well, back home, I would say we have a nation that's sleep deprived because of the work setup and because of kind of the culture. Here, we at least we're sleeping maybe 9 hours, maybe 10 hours if you include a nap on a good day. But it's not normal to be tired. It's not normal to be tired going into a hard session. It's not normal to be tired going into an easy session. But I see that back at home, people are tired constantly. And how can you have productive training and growth when you work on tired bodies? And how can you enjoy it when you're tired? Because you're not going to be motivated to do the work if you're tired before you even start the work. So yeah, it's a massive difference. And you couldn't do the work here sleep deprived. You couldn't get anything out of it and you wouldn't enjoy it.
What do elite altitude environments do differently in terms of recovery, nutrition, training structure, and athlete monitoring?
I guess everything that I've talked about, and it sounds really basic. I don't think I've said anything that's like revolutionary. I suppose the main question is that you're asking when you're watching this is, how do I implement this back at home? And that's the next question as well. You have to have a job. Let's be real here. You have to have a job that supports your athletics. If you don't have a job that supports your hobby in athletics to be the best you can be, that's going to be the limiting factor. It's a competing factor, isn't it? I did a video on this back in February or March after my surgery, basically telling you how to get to August to December, which is said when you want it to be the best you could be. What's the path that those that do well, and what's the path that those that don't? And the path that I guess that those that don't is they have lots of competing factors. So the job's not on board with the goal, the family's not on board with the goal, the friends aren't on board with the goal, the mentors or other influences around them are not bought into the same strategy. So the environment does not support the goal. So it's impossible. You can never run fast in a bad environment ever. And I said the exact same thing last year, and cycles are being repeated everywhere for months. But I'll keep saying it. And the ones that do well, they have a supportive environment around them that pushes them, tells them the truth, supports them, allows them to do what they need to do. But to have the job that you want, to excel in this sport, obviously is decided 10, 20, 30 years ago, really, from school and the paths that you took. And for some people, this sport won't be that important, so it's capped at a certain level. And I guess it's asking the question to yourself, are you happy to be at this level? Because this is what your life stops you doing, really. You can't go past that with how your life's set up. So do you want to change your life to then go to the next level? Is it worth the energy? And I suppose that's the question you need to ask if this is kind of the hobby.
And finally today, if you could bring only 3 lessons from a world-class altitude training environment back to athletes training at sea level, what would it be and why? 3
easy ones that I try and do at home, which I face a massive resistance. High quality strength and conditioning, hills, teamwork. And that is like everywhere in your eyes here. For example, last night we were at the gym with multiple Olympic medalists, and they certainly weren't doing body pump or Zumba or whatever else, but they were doing high quality S&C that they need to do, not what they want to do, and they weren't necessarily laughing and joking, and some of the things are really difficult, but they're doing what they need to do. They're lifting heavy, low rep, all the principles that I've talked about in S&C for the last 9 years, that I know that really the communities of the North East not necessarily on board with, because they don't like doing it. But it's life changing, really. And just an insight into coaching these lads in the gym a bit, because I don't get the chance to go to these lads in the gym. The potential is insane from where they are by following and really having someone to coach them. I think in person, that's where you guys struggle with. The potential is insane where they can go. Just on that element, that's not even running. Okay, hills. This comes down to choosing the path of the most resistance. So what I find in the Northeast culture is a culture of choosing the path of the least resistance. So doing what they want to do, but not what you need to do, and trying to do it the easiest way possible. uh, so it's keeping all your runs flat. It's going on the treadmill when the weather's a bit bad. It's going in the gym and doing the exercise that you're good at, not what you need to do. It's all these things. So that mentality up here, or any high quality training environment, doing what you need to do, not doing what you want to do. That's discipline. But hills is in everything. So in your general easy runs, in your long run sessions, even your road sessions. Most of the races that we do have a hill in. So we're training our frame and our structure to be strong and resistant and powerful over varying terrain. Whether you're in here, whether you're in Kenya, whether you're in Ethiopia, whether you're in Flagstaff, St. Moritz, they're all hilly areas, and they're all people that are doing most of the mileage on that type of terrain, and sessions on that terrain as well. Doesn't mean every run needs to be hilly, but it's certainly an aspect. And team. So team means, I think it's just like a longevity, a culture, and a community point. But for me, to have long-term development and to have a really positive community around you, because we're all affected by the community around us, the people who live next to us, the people who we train with, the people who we're influenced closely by. If we're not developing that community, we're not really setting ourselves up for the best performance in the future, and we're also not giving back. As a human, I very much believe in not just being the best athlete you can be, but making everyone around you the best athlete you can be. Whether you're a coach or not a coach, I just think it's a basic human principle. It's our job to make a positive influence on our environment around us. As people, we either lift the environment or we lower the environment. And the world's a much better place when we have lots of people lifting the environment. But a team helps you enjoy the sport more. You get to share the journey with others, and you can be positively influenced by what they're doing, and help others, and you get a lot back from that. And having a bunch of guys to go for a long run with or something is it's a nice thing to do. It makes the sport more appealing and motivational. No matter how much I stress this at home, it always kind of falls a bit, and then I'll work on it and I'll build it back up, and then it kind of falls a bit. I guess our society at home is not set up the same way, and I understand that the structure of the club is so spread out. In here everyone's together, so I get that, but it's why we need more effort to put these things on, more effort for training weekends, more effort for at least one session a week for people to drive to and to make an effort to get to know each other, and to give back to the community, to build a community. So yeah, I mean, 3 things that I've been preaching for since I started running, so nothing's changed on that, and the words will stand the test of time, I'm sure.